are you on? Okay, so when we have an absent, your vice president, so you're gonna start us off and move us, or Anthony?
Jason will
Oh, Jason, can you still start us off?
whatever he did.
Yeah, I can do that, but I don't know if I'm the only, I can barely hear you.
We have no.
We have no control, we can.
I can
raise-
hear you just fine.
Okay,
But hold on, I'll come look.
okay, Anthony, how is your volume, can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you guys.
Well, then it's me. That's okay.
We can hear you really well, Jason.
Okay, perfect. Are we ready to start?
Yes, let's go.
All right, I will call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge if you're able. We ready?
Yeah. I
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I will ask for approval of the agenda.
So moved. I'll second it.
I'm assuming that's Elisa and Peggy, correct?
Correct.
Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to action items, the previous item from last week's meeting, award of the sale of surplus of buses and motor pool.
I'll make a motion to approve the award of the sale of surplus buses and motor pool as presented. I'll second, Jason.
Okay, did we get our question answered from the last meeting?
I certainly can address this for the record. I have spoke with our attorney and researched the board policy. And here's the finding. We do not technically, or not technically, we do not have that board policy in place. However, if we had that board policy in place, we did fall within the confines of that. In addition, with a sealed bid, we are double protected. We will
Okay.
explore putting that board policy into place in the future. Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? It's been moved and seconded to approve the award of the sale of surplus buses and motor pool. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to resolution 25-23, the 2023-24 general fund budget adoption.
I make a motion to approve resolution 25-23 to 2023-2024 general fund budget adoption. I'll second. Oh, go ahead. I'll second, Jason.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. I do have a comment, and I'm not sure. One of the things I would like to see, and I don't know if we need to do this by policy, but I do think we need to have regular financial updates monthly. And I don't know if we can force that by policy, or if, I mean, I know we're used to doing it, but we didn't see a few of them for a while. What do you think?
I agree.
I can research whether there is policy language around so, or what it would look like to write a policy. We can make note of it in this meeting that is an expectation for the business manager. And we can even, Craig's going to share too, we can even, I guess there would be a job description or in an expectation of certain things. Craig, go ahead.
I'm not sure where it is written per se, but it is required that the board receive a monthly budget status, and if there's any changes, material changes in revenue and expenses. Now, what that means, if you want to say, the last board meeting of the month or something like that, that would be easy to have an expectation. Like I said, I'm not sure if it's policy, but it is a requirement.
And I can look at finding some policy language so that we're protected and everybody moving forward is protected as well. That would be good.
Okay, and I typically, if we look at a policy for that, I can't remember, but we should be able to see them. Is it on the first meeting of the month following, or would it be the last meeting? So if it was like in October, would we see the financials the first meeting of September or November, or last meeting in November?
So typically what happens, in my experience, we should be able to give monthly updates through the month of July. But then August isn't going to be finished until the end of October, right? So that could be presented, typically like the last meeting, because we need OSPI approval and those kind of things, and it takes some time. But then we won't be able to really start the year and start September's probably until November, December, because we're still finishing all that stuff up. But then it can be pretty routine. So I would think October's probably the first meeting in December, right? To give us some time to finish up the year or finish up that month. That makes sense.
So what if we went ahead and looked for a policy, and then it says October's is due first board meeting in November, November's is due the second, right? And we literally put it out when they're expected to be done. Rather than always being willy-nilly. What do you think of something like that?
I think
Dave?
that'd be smart. Yeah, I think it's something we could discuss at maybe the next work session, if that's enough time.
Yeah, and I should be able to find something between now and then and find something, at least that we can talk about at the study session.
And maybe at that same
And
meeting, sorry, Jason, at that same meeting, you need to be comfortable with the information that is being presented. You want to still follow the same pattern, that's fine. New board members will be coming on, if there's any additional or less information that you want. The financial information, this budget status sheet is a requirement, okay? But then the other stuff that's attached is whatever the board wants to have happen. We can do status quo, which is fine, right?
Well,
Until
and we can
change
look at what some of them are, and I can bring 3 or 4 different ideas if I can find them. And then we can talk at the study session, and then we can have the study session and then do a first reading thereafter.
Okay.
Jason, may I make a public statement?
I'm sorry, what?
May I make a public statement?
Yes, please.
For those who are listening, or this is being recorded, and if you're listening this past a few weeks ago, we presented a balanced budget, and that information was incorrect. And today we are presenting a budget that is within the confines of our board policy of our 5%, and it is not a balanced budget. And I want that very clearly for the record. And so before you vote, I wanted to make sure that that's publicly known.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions regarding the resolution in the budget? Okay, with that, this is a roll call vote. Jeannie,
Yes.
Peggy,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
And I too will vote yes. Approving resolution 2523, the 2023-24 general fund budget. With that, that concludes our action items for today. Our next regular meeting will be September 13th, 2023, right there at the Prosser High School Library Workroom at 6 p.m. There's no further business. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.